Well, hello guys, it's me, Pixie, your exhausted with real-life doll artist. This week was rough, but I'm here to share a new freshly made doll video. You guessed it, it's a commission again. I still have to show you many of them because I worked hard and restlessly the last half of a year. I filmed plenty of material for you and want to share it as soon as possible. But also I'm sure it will take me some time. The whole video process, starting from making a doll to filming and editing, I do solely by myself. So that's why I can't be as consistent as I wished to be. Also, real life happens. I bet that at this exact moment you watch this video, I'm taking care of a kitten. Recently I was under too much stress and it had its toll on me. And I did a very stupid thing again and forgot a needle with a thread on my workplace, which our cat have access to. Our new cat, Inno, who is only 1.5 years old, repeats the same mistake his older brother Simba did 5 years ago and swallowed a needle I negligently left on the table. I hate that it happened again to our precious cat and I hope that he will get well soon. It was a horrible experience and very dangerous to our cat. The one funny thing about all of that, if you can even find anything funny about this whole situation, is that the thread was the same one that Simba ate. Like literally the same thread. Maybe another day I will tell you this story in details, but now I feel crappy. Mentally and physically, and in any way you can imagine. So I just want to bring a new doll video for you. I don't want to be in survival mode, but we have what we have. And so does today's heroine, Katniss Everdeen herself. I must tell you, I've read the Hunger Games books. I remember the general plot, but only remember a few details. I will not spoil it for you, and as much as I like movies, I still highly recommend reading books. My customer wished to get this character for their collection. And I was so pleased to deliver. Katniss from the books. I like Jennifer Lawrence in this role, but with all my respect for her art, I like Katniss from books more. So I kept this fragile, slim, hungry and stout-hearted figure of Katniss in my mind all the time I worked on this doll. And she turned out just like I imagined her. This specific doll brings so much tranquility into my mind. Just watching her appear from nothing, making her final photos and footage. That day was memorable for me. And I cherished the thought it happened. This doll, this day, I felt life itself. With all the difficulties, hopes and beauty of it. And today I want to tell you survival stories. As you know, Hunger Games is a story about survival itself. So I thought it would be interesting to discover survival techniques that could be essential for one's survival. Specifically the most interesting, surprising and even crazy methods on how to survive. Must warn you, you shouldn't listen to such advice from me. I'm not professional survivalist, let's be real. So let's just have fun and explore this topic with me from a curiosity perspective. Some of them might work, you know, and some of them may just be some crazy stuff I googled out. So get comfortable in your soft and warm seat and prepare to listen on how to survive. And let's go! The solar still for water collection. In arid environments where water sources are scarce, a solar still can be a lifesaver. By digging a hole and placing a container in the center, covering it with transparent sheet and weighting down the edges with rocks, as the sun hits the ground, moisture evaporates, condenses on the underside of the sheet and drips into the container, providing drinkable water. Pine trees for navigation. If you are lost in a forest, pine trees can serve as the natural compasses. The branches of pine trees often grow denser on the southern side due to the sun exposure. By observing the tree's growth pattern, you can determine north and orient yourself accordingly. Emergency fishing with clothing. If you find yourself near a body of water and lacking traditional fishing gear, you can fashion makeshift fishing equipment from your clothing. Tear a strip from your shirt or pants to create a fishing line. Fashion a hook from paperclip or safety pin. And bait it with insects or small pieces of food. With patience and skill, you may catch fish to sustain yourself. Edible plant identification. Knowing how to identify edible plants in the wild can be crucial for survival. One curious method for identifying edible plants is the universal edibility test. Begin by touching a small part of the plant to your lips, waiting for any adverse reaction. If there is no reaction, place a small piece on your tongue and hold it for 15 minutes. If there are no negative effects, chew a small amount and spit it out. Wait several hours and observe for any signs of illness before consuming more. Char cloth for fire starting. Char cloth is a piece of fabric, usually cotton, that has been charred in the absence of oxygen. It catches fire easily from a spark and can be used to ignite tinder. To make a char cloth, cut a piece of cotton fabric into small squares. Place them in a metal tin with a small hole in the lid, and heat the tin over a fire until smoke stops emanating from the hole. The resultant char cloth can be used as a reliable fire starter. Debris hut for shelter. A debris hut is a simple yet effective shelter made from natural materials found in the wilderness. To construct a debris hut, create a sturdy frame using branches and logs. Then layer small branches, leaves and other debris on top to provide insulation and waterproofing. The interior space should be just large enough for you to lie down comfortably, trapping body heat to keep you warm throughout the night. Snow trench shelter. In snowy environments where traditional shelter materials may be scarce, building a snow trench shelter can protect from wind and cold temperatures. Dig a trench in the snow large enough to lie down comfortably. Then pile snow along the edges to create walls and roof. Be sure to leave a ventilation hole at one end to allow airflow. And consider lining interior with insulating materials, such as pine boards or clothing, to retain body heat. Signal mirror for signaling. A signal mirror is a small, lightweight mirror that can be used to reflect sunlight and signal for help over long distances. To use a signal mirror effectively, hold it at an angle to the sun and aim the reflected light toward your intended target, such as passing aircraft or search party, by flashing the mirror in a distinct pattern, such as 3 quick flashes in succession. You can communicate your need for assistance to potential rescuers. Bamboo water filter. If you find yourself in a jungle or forested area with access to bamboo, you can fashion a makeshift water filter to purify contaminated water. Cut a section of bamboo and hollow out the interior. Then fill it with layers of charcoal, sand and gravel. Pour water through the filter, and the natural materials will help remove impurities and make the water safe to drink. Snow goggles from tree bark. In snowy environments where glare from the sun can cause snow blindness, fashion an improvised snow goggles from the tree bark can provide essential eye protection. Cut thin slices of bark from a flexible tree such as birch or willow. Then shape them to fit snugly around your eyes. Pierce small holes near the edges to allow for visibility while shielding your eyes from harmful UV rays and glare. Insulation from natural materials. In cold environments, you can create insulation for clothing using natural materials such as dried grass, leaves, moss, and feathers. Stuff these materials into fabric pouches or layers of clothing to add warmth and insulation, particularly in areas where body heat loss is greatest, such as torso, head, and extremities. Body heat to melt snow for drinking water. In dire situations where clean water is scarce, you can harness your body heat to melt snow and produce drinkable water. Fill a water bottle or container with snow, then tuck it inside your clothing against your skin, allowing your body heat to gradually melt the snow. Be sure to insulate the container to prevent heat loss and conserve energy. And always purify the melted snow before drinking to avoid ingesting harmful pathogens. Bow drill for fire starting. In the absence of matches or a lighter, you can create a fire using a bow drill, a primitive friction fire starting method. To make a bow drill, you will need a straight stick for the bow, a flexible branch for the bowstring, a spindle, straight stick for drilling, and a fireboard, flat piece of wood with a notch carved into it. By rapidly rotating the spindle with the bow, friction generates heat, igniting the dust and creating an ember that can be used to start a fire. Pine needle tea for hydration. Pine needle tea is a natural source of vitamin C and can provide hydration in the absence of clean water. Collect fresh green pine needles from non-toxic varieties such as white pine or spruce. Then steep them in hot water to release their nutrients and flavor. Pine needle tea has a refreshing citrus-like taste and can be consumed hot or cold to replenish fluids and boost your immune system. Pine resin bandage for wound care. Pine resin has natural antiseptic properties and can be used to create a makeshift bandage for wound care. Collect fresh resin from pine trees and heat it gently over a fire until it becomes soft and pliable. Apply the warm resin directly to the wound or affected area, allowing it to form a protective barrier that seals out dirt and bacteria. The resin will harden upon cooling, creating waterproof and antibacterial bandage that promotes healing. Pine pitch torch. In a low-light situation or during nighttime activities, pine pitch torch can provide illumination and warmth. Collect pine resin or sap from trees and melt it over a fire until it becomes viscous. Dip a stick or piece of cloth into the melted pitch, allowing it to coat the material and then let it cool and harden. Once solidified, the pine pitch torch can be lit on fire, creating a long-lasting flame that burns brightly and steadily. Debris for signaling. In the event of search or rescue situation, debris can be reproduced as signaling devices to attract attention from passing ships or aircraft. Arrange any brightly colored objects in large geometric patterns or shapes on the ground, contrasting with the natural surroundings to increase visibility from a distance. Additionally, use mirrors, shiny surfaces, and improvised signal fires to reflect sunlight and create flashes or smoke signals that can be seen from afar. Desert survival shelter. Constructing a shelter is essential for protecting yourself from the intense heat and sun exposure in the desert environments. Look for natural features such as rock outcrops and caves as foundation for your shelter. Use materials such as branches, palm fronds, or fabric to create a roof structure that provides shade and ventilation. Avoid dark-colored materials that absorb heat, and orient your shelter to take advantage of prevailing winds for cooling airflow. Preserving and cooking food. Once you've produced food, it's essential to properly preserve and cook it to ensure safety and maximize nutritional value. Techniques such as smoking, drying, or jerking can help preserve meat and fish for long-term storage. Build a fire and use improvised cookware, such as flat rocks, clay pots, or metal containers to cook food over an open flame. Experiment with different cooking methods and recipes to create flavorful and nutritious meal using wild ingredients. You can even try to make your own utensils from scrap materials. Creating an alarm system in the wilderness can help alert you from the potential dangers, such as approaching animals or intruders. Tripwire alarm. Set up a tripwire using a cordage or a fishing line across a pathway or around your campsite. Attach noise-making objects such as tin cans, bells, or metal utensils. When someone or something disturbs the tripwire, the noise-making objects will clang together, alerting you to the presence of movement. Noise-making devices. Utilize items in your surroundings that can produce loud noises, such as banging rocks together, blowing a whistle, or using a portable air horn. Keep these items readily accessible in your campsite or on your person, so can you quickly sound an alarm if needed. Natural alarms. Pay attention to the sounds of wildlife in your environment, as they can often serve as natural alarms. For example, birds may become agitated or stop singing in the presence of predators, alerting you to potential threats. Familiarize yourself with the typical sounds of animals in your area to discern unusual or alarming behavior. You know, some actual people had to survive in circumstances that one will find impossible, but here they are. The incredible journey of Pun Lim. Pun Lim is Chinese sailor, holds the world record for the longest time spent adrift at sea, having survived 133 days alone in the Atlantic Ocean during World War II. After his ship was torpedoed by a German U-boat, Pun managed to escape onto a life raft equipped with limited supplies. With incredible ingenuity, he crafted a makeshift fishing line, a knife from a biscuit tin, and water still to distill salt water. Pun subsisted on fish, birds, and even sharks while enduring extreme weather conditions and near encounters with enemy submarines. He was eventually rescued by Brazilian fishermen, his remarkable tale serving as inspiration to all who face seemingly insurmountable odds. José Salvador Alveña Ocean's Odyssey. In November 2012, fisherman José Salvador Alveña embarked on what was supposed to be a short fishing trip off the coast of Mexico. A powerful storm blew his small boat off course, and he found himself lost in the vastness of Pacific Ocean. With his companion eventually succumbing to starvation and dehydration, Alveña survived alone 438 days adrift at sea, subsisting on raw fish, turtles, and rainwater. In January 2014, his boat washed ashore on a remote atoll in the Marshall Islands, where he was finally rescued. More such stories I will tell in my next video, since it is not the only character of Hunger Games I made for this customer. Thank you greatly for letting me make Katniss for you. Thank you. And you guys, thank you too. Stay tuned for more. And we are at the end of this video. I hope you had a great time watching me making this doll. Write me what you think about her and the Hunger Games story in the comments. Also, have you ever had to survive anything? I'd like to read your stories. So, thank you guys for watching. See you in my next videos. Bye!